look at this. This is called function prototype. So, this line is called function prototype. So, that is function prototype. And this line is called function call. And this line is called, this statement is called function definition. And this is my return statement. So, in this example, we have add two integer number. So, we normally what can I do? Normally we just use, if I use, we will take two input from the keyboard, then we will read the input by using scanf statement, then we will add, for example, sum equal to a plus b, and result will be placed in printf statement. But here we have call a function. So, this is my function calling. Whenever we call the function, we already discussed that value of n1 will be copied to this variable a and value of n2 copied to this variable b. In this example, because we can send the address of the variable also. So, for suppose example, I have just taken the input value 10 and 20. So, what will happen? So, n1 is my 10 and n2 will be 20. Okay. So, here a will be 10 and b will be 20 as per our definition. Then we have a local variable that is called integer result, then result will equal to a plus b. So, 10 plus 20. So, what is the result? 10 plus 20, that is 30. So, 30 will be assigned to this variable result. Okay. Then it will return 30. So, return 30 to the calling function. So, 30 will be assigned, and then so sum equal to 30, and after this line if I use the printf statement, sum 30 will be printed and the output is result equal to 30, result equal to 30. So, that is the programming flow. Now, I am going to discuss, and I am just discussing one more time so that you can understood that. So, every time if I use a function, we have to write a function, that is my actually function, and that is called function body. Actually, this is my function body, and this is my starting of a function, ending of a function. You already know the main function. So, this is a second bracket, opening second bracket, and this is a closing second bracket, and within this function we have written some code. Okay, we have written some code. So, that part will be executed whenever we call this function. So, here if I call this function, this 3 line will be executed sequence by sequence, one by one it will be executed. Okay. And I told you that whenever we encounter a function call, the control transferred to this function call, and then the function will be executed and the result will be back to the calling function. So, here then this line will be executed. Okay. So, in this way we can flow the execution of a function, how it is work. And here we have discussed so many terms, new terms: function prototype, function call, function definition, return statement. So, I am just discussing in a few minutes one by one. So, first one is First one is function prototype. So, I will back in this example again. Let me explain all the terminology related to function. First one is function prototype. Function prototype. Function prototype is simply the declaration of a function that specify the function name, parameters and the return type. It does not contain any function body. Function prototype, why we use the function prototype? Function prototype basically give the information to the compiler that the function maybe later we can going to use in our program. So, it is the information to the compiler that I am going to use that kind of function in our program. So, let us look at the syntax of a function prototype. So, the basic syntax is, so first we have to write the return type of a function, means what kind of value we are going to return by the function. If I call this function, what kind of value we are going to return? It may be integer, any data type, it may be integer, it may be float, it may be double, any primitive data type is going to return by this function, or sometimes if you do not want to return any value, then simply we can write the void. So, that means the function is not going to return any value. So, then first is return type, second one is function name. And within first bracket we have to write the type of the argument, type 1, argument 1. I will explain in later what does mean the argument, what is parameter. Sometimes I am talking about the argument, sometimes I am talking about the parameters. So, what is the difference between those two? So, I will explain, do not worry about that. Right now just follow the syntax, then we can pass any number of argument. So, argument 2, or it may be any type. This is actually syntax of a function. First one is return type, second one is function name, then type, what kind of data I am going to pass in this function. So, what kind of function argument we are going to pass, this is the name of the argument, and this is the name of the argument, second argument. In this way, this is the syntax, and keep that in mind, there is a semicolon at the end of function prototype. So, look at the example here. This is my return type of a function, this is my return type of a function, and this is my name of a function. So, what is the name of this function? At number, and this is the first type. Compare with this one, this is my return type. That means, if I call this function, the function will return to an integer value to the calling function. So, this function is called call function, the call function return value to the calling function. Okay. So, this is the type 1, means what kind of data we are going to pass in this function. So, this is the name of first argument A, and this is the second argument B, and this is the data type. So, in this function we have just simply follow the syntax, then at the end of this we have used a semicolon. So, that is called actually function prototype. So, we have discussed this function prototype means to give the information to the compiler, so that I am going to use this type of function in future, so that compiler can understand that this function is known to me. So, in this example, at name is a name of the function. So, function name, we know that we can give any kind of name which are suitable for the function, so that we can understand that from the function name what kind of specific operation we are going to perform. For example, if I want to add two numbers, so I will give the name for add, sum, like that, so that, or addition, So, like that. So that we can understand that we are this function is just going to discuss about the two going to add 2 number or 3 number, whatever it is. Okay. So far we have learned that what is function prototype. So function prototype means it gives information to the compiler, so that the function may be later used in program. The function prototype is not needed if the user defined function is defined before the main function. So in this example, this is my actually user defined function add number. I have just used this function after the main function. If I write this function in front of or before the main function, look at this. If I write this function, if I write this function just before the main function, then sometimes we do not need a function prototype. So basically we use this type of formation that we have to use the function prototype, so that compiler can understand that I am going to use that kind of function in future. Then we at the end we write a main function. Any C5 program file may be contain a number of function. The next thing is calling a function, function call. Function call means control the program is transferred to the user defined function by calling it. So that means when we encounter a function call, it transfer to the this line. So that means to the user defined by calling the function. So what is the function call syntax? So syntax of function call syntax, function name, then argument 1, argument 2, in this way there may be so many argument, and at the end there is a semicolon. Okay. So in the above example, the function call is made by using at number n1 and n2, statement inside the main function. So look at, compare with this one. This is my actually function name. This is my function name at number. Then within first bracket I have written n1. This is my argument 1. This is my argument 2. Okay. So this is, in this way you can call a function. And in this example, since when we call this function, the function will return some value, that value has to be held by this variable sum. So that is why we have assigned sum equal to at number within bracket n1 comma n2. So now the next thing is, which is more important to understand in function, that is function definition. So what does mean the function definition actually? Function definition contain the block of code to perform a specific task. First, I just told you about the definition of a function. What does mean the function? So function means if I want to execute a block of statement that perform a specific task. So here the definition which contain the block of code to perform the specific task. In our example, adding 2 number and returning the value to the calling function. So have a look at this syntax of this definition. So what is the syntax? Please concentrate on this point. It is very, very important syntax of function definition. First we have to write return type, then function name, then type of argument we are going to pass. For example, type 1 argument 1, argument 1, type 2 argument 2, so many argument we can pass, so many argument we can pass, okay. But there is no semicolon at this end of the statement. Then we have a opening second bracket and closing second bracket, and that part is called body of the function, body of the function. This part is called, actually this part is called body of the function. When a function is called, the control of the program transferred to the function definition. Look at this, when this function is called, the control of the program is transferred to the function definition, means that part, that part, that part, okay, sorry, that part, okay. And compiler start executing the code inside the body of a function. So, this is the body of a function. So, whatever the code has been written within this body, that will execute one by one. So, let us explain this one. What is return type? I have already discussed. Return type means after executing, the function is going to return some value, okay. It may be more than one return statement, but return type means what kind of value is function going to return, we have to mention. In this example, this function is going to return the integer value. So, that means after executing, the value we are going to return from the return statement, that will be integer. So, that is why first we have to mention the return type, then we have to mention the function name. Look at this here, at number is a function name, at number is a function name, at number is a function name, and we have passed two argument. One of the argument is integer type, another argument is also integer type. Here the name of the first argument is A and second argument is B. So, first variable name is A and second variable is name is B, and that is all about the function definition. Now, come to the argument passed to a function. So, how argument passed? I have already discussed that the type of argument passed to a function, this argument is called actual argument. This argument is called actual argument, and this argument is called actually formal parameter. These are formal parameter, these are formal parameter. So, I will explain in details when we will talk about difference between the actual parameter and formal parameter. Later when we discuss about the call by value and call by reference, I will cover this topic in details. Right now we are talking about the function definition. So, the last thing we have to explain here, that is return statement. A return statement terminates the execution of a function and return a value to the calling function. So, that means who is calling this function? Main function calling this function, this is call function. So, return statement return this value to the call function, that means it will return to the main function value. The program control is transferred to the calling function after return statement is executed. So, that means after this line the program control is transferred to the main function, or it may be is some other function call this function, it will return to this function. So, Anyhow, the return statement, after executing the return statement, control transfer to the calling function. That is the best line we can say. So, in this example, the value of result variable is returned to the main function, and the main function assigned to this value to another variable sum. So, there are many ways we can send the return. We can use the return statement for, like, we can use return, we can use like we can return like return actually syntax, I am talking about the syntax, so that we can send how many way we can write. So, we can use expression, we can also use expression like we can use return a, for example, we can also write in this way, return a plus b. Okay, see in this way. So, let us conclude the function user defined function. So, we have seen that there are two types of function, one is library function or standard library function, another is user defined function. So, in user defined function we have seen so many aspects of a function, like function prototype, function call, function definition, or you can say return type of a function. So, that means we have completed some aspect of, we have seen some aspect of function, function declaration, function call and function definition. These are the three main aspects of a C program.